When you buy something with cash, you exchange money for the item and the transaction is complete. But when you buy something on credit or a loan, you're promising to pay for it later, probably with interest. Now you've got the item and debt. Financial debt is owing money to somebody who agreed to give it to you today with your promise to return it in the future.
Oh, no thanks. I don't want to owe anybody money. That sounds terrible.
Well, debt is like a fire. If you're responsible and strategic, it can work for you. But if it gets out of hand, then you're in trouble. Think about the doctor who took out a student loan to go to medical school. He couldn't have learned those skills and gotten that degree without taking on some debt. But now he owns his own practice, helps many lives, and employs dozens of people. If you use debt to invest in your future, it can be a good thing.
What if I pay for my designer clothes every weekend with my credit card?
Then, you'll not only have to pay back the cost of those outfits, but also the fees and interest from the credit card company. That debt can build up and become dangerous, especially if you can't afford to pay it all back. So, what kinds of debt are there, and how can we be responsible with it? There are many kinds of debt that affect the average person.
So, which ones should I watch out for?
The most common type is consumer debt, and most of this debt is accumulated with credit cards. When you use a credit card, the credit card company pays the business first, and then they send you a monthly bill. If you pay the total bill within 30 days, you won't have accumulated any debt. Sweet. But if you don't pay the total within 30 days, then interest gets added to your debt. The interest rate on a credit card could equal about 25% per year, where a $500 purchase could become $625 just a year later. Credit cards usually have a maximum charge amount. That's called a credit limit. Over half of Americans now have a maxed out credit card. That's a lot of debt. The fastest growing type of debt is student loan debt. Student loans allow you to pay for college expenses and delay repaying the loan until after you leave school. Most loans are backed or first paid for by the federal government. Unlike other forms of debt, federal student loans can't be settled with bankruptcy, which is a legal claim people make when they can't pay their debt. In other words, there's no way to escape from paying it back. On the other hand, student loan debt can be considered good debt if you're using it to gain skills that will land you a more valuable opportunity than if you had not gone to that school. Unfortunately, many people discover too late that the job they get with their college degree doesn't pay enough to make the debt worth it. And some don't graduate at all, but they still have to pay off their student loans. Car loans allow you to purchase a car and pay off the debt with equal monthly payments over a few years. Banks and car dealerships offer these loans. Usually, they don't cover the whole price of the car, which means you need to have some cash as a down payment, or trade in the value of your old car towards the purchase price of a new one. A home loan is similar to a car loan, where you'll make a down payment and borrow the rest. The difference is that a car tends to depreciate, which means it loses value over time, while a home will generally appreciate or increase in value over time, which would make a home loan, also called a mortgage, a good investment. Even though a home may be the most expensive thing you will ever buy, costing many hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's an example of debt working for you. But beware, with both car loans and home loans, if you don't keep up with the payments, the lending bank can and will take possession of the car or home and sell it to someone else to get their money back.
Take my car and my home? How can I be responsible with debt so that doesn't happen to me?
First, avoid bad debt by not spending more money than you have or more than you'll be able to pay back. Second, if you do decide to buy, you don't always need debt to do it. Many things you can buy with debt, you can also buy with cash. If you're taking on debt for the sake of buying something that you will most likely use for only a short period of time, consider paying cash. After all, you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're still paying for something you don't even use anymore. Save up for what you need and buy what you can afford. And third, the most responsible way to use debt is to make it work for you. Good debt is an investment in your future because it allows you to afford something that might increase in value over time or something that will eventually earn money for you. Ask yourself, how much will this cost me in the end? Is it a good investment in my future? And is it worth it? If you decide that the debt will eventually result in more wealth for you and you need to take on that debt, Then shop around for the lowest interest rate, the shortest term, and pay it off early if possible. Many people use debt to look rich, but they really have no money and are controlled by their belongings. If you discipline your spending and use debt rarely and wisely, you will build true wealth and have financial freedom. Subscribe and watch more at PragerU.com.